Hello, everybody, and welcome to F1 Unhinged. As always, I'm your co-host, Tyler.
And I'm the guy with the weird cat who sniffs assholes.
Jesus Christ. Jesus. Dude. Okay. We're grateful to be back here today. Given
this is our second time of trying to record this podcast because internets and snowstorms apparently don't work out. So you're just going to get what you're going to get today.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah. Mainly because fuck F1, and neither of us can spend an hour talking about F1 at this point. Kimmy won. Yay, congrats.
I won the bet. Yay, congrats. I don't care.
Yeah, and F1 still plays like a shitty video game where the only thing that matters is the first 5 laps of the race. And then as soon as the batteries normalize, it just becomes the Battery World Championship, where we watch Fernando Alonso drive with no hands because his car is vibrating his bones away.
And honestly, the bet for me doesn't necessarily matter because I can envision both of us buying each other the team kit each of us want for Christmas. So, like,
I'm just going to buy F1 merch itself so that I can video me taking a dump on it later this year.
I still want the Audi team kit.
I mean, that's fair. You're gonna get it if our races keep going this way.
I'm 2 for 2 so far.
We're gonna have to I feel like we're gonna have to bet for who finishes third because
I feel like we're gonna have to bet for who finishes last. Actually, no, that's equally as boring. We're gonna have to bet for who finishes like 8th.
Last guy in the points. Who's the last guy to get points? That would actually be kind of fun. Last guy to get points, whoever finishes 10th.
It could be. That's kind of spicy. That's kind of spicy these days.
F1's kind of flipped itself on head and just made new rules that don't make sense. Why can't we?
Yeah, like let's just bet on who gets 10th, and that works for me. Because I can't bet on George Russell again.
It'll actually give us something to watch because the end of the points battle can actually be somewhat decent.
Yeah. I mean, we had both Racing Bulls in the top 10, so that's a change.
Yeah, that was really nice. I did wonder if Racing Bulls were going to outrace the Red Bulls. Came closer.
They did in Australia.
Happening. It came very close to happening. Well, but not in Australia because Max got 6th in Australia.
They didn't outrace both Red Bulls, but they definitely
they got more points than Red Bull.
Yeah, well, and they were closer than Racing Bulls has ever been.
I think they got more points than Red Bull this time too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because Max didn't finish.
Yeah. Max had the Hadger incident just a little bit later. But F1 is a race for the first 5 laps, and then the batteries get normal, and the racing stops being anything but teammate battles. And the back end of the top 10 has some interesting stuff, but it's just all battery shit. I'm so tired of hearing the word deployment 2 races into this year already. It's so fucking annoying.
Or harvesting.
You gotta let's look at the deployment graphic. For fuck's sake, can we just have a car race?
I'm tired of hearing harvesting. Harvesting drives me crazy, and that's a big podcast term lately in the F1 podcast media community. I hate talking about harvesting, and I will say
how much I know about battery harvesting at this point.
Same.
This is taking up space in my brain that I want to go to other shit that actually matters.
Same, and it's like I feel like we're very different than other F1 media podcasts where we don't give a play-by-play of the race. We don't do a lot of things that other F1 podcasts do. We just kind of talk shit and rant and talk about the good things if there are good things. Lately, there hasn't been good things. Like Ferrari battling each other was kind of cool to see, but like it's the same
But
yo-yo
they're the
effect
only
we're gonna
real
see.
battle.
Yeah, and it's the same yo-yo effect we're gonna see all season. It was literally just them yo-yoing back and forth. Like
Well, and what I don't like is a lot of the other fucking F1 podcast and media are using the Ferrari battle as a way to like gaslight us into thinking there was good racing. No, it was one team racing who had the same car, so it was going to be a little bit more even.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
it. The rest of the field didn't have good racing. They had who had the best battery power that lap. And it's crazy to me the people who are defending this, because they're the same people who didn't like DRS because of the yo-yo effect of DRS at certain tracks and how you could just blow by somebody and then you get the DRS the next lap and blow by them. Like, this is the same shit, but on every track now. At least DRS, it was only certain tracks. Here, it's every track, and you're losing the slipstream with active arrows, so that's the only way you get past. If you don't have better battery life than someone, you cannot pass them. And that's not racing. It should be who has the skill, not who has the battery.
Yeah, and I will say, those who know me in my personal life know that I'm all about sustainability and like the planet and taking care of our public lands and all that stuff. I'm all for sustainable fuels. I'm all for electric batteries in cars. However, what I'm not for is regulations that make it so racing can't actually happen.
Yeah, NASCAR's using sustainable fuels.
Yeah.
NASCAR
WEC is a hybrid car.
WEC has the battery and sustainable fuels. You know what you don't hear about in WEC races, every WEC race? Deployment every fucking lap.
Yep.
The amount of times they talk about harvesting and deployment on the broadcast every lap. And I don't fault the broadcast. They have to, because that's the only thing that's happening.
It's the only thing you can talk about.
And it's frustrating on a weekend when everybody else had really good races. The IndyCar race in Arlington, the drivers, the fans, everyone. That was an immaculate venue. It was an immaculate event they put on. I think did amazing things for IndyCar. It was an incredible race, a hard-fought win for Kirkwood at a facility that honestly surprised me. I figured throwing something at the Cowboys Stadium like that was going to be asinine. It wouldn't work right. They rushed into it. No, they did a fantastic job. Fantastic job. The drivers were extremely happy. The teams were happy. The sponsors were happy. The media was happy. It is very rare you have a new track come up and everyone's that happy.
Yeah.
And extreme credit to IndyCar. They did a wonderful job this weekend. They were smart. They had some weather issues. They moved the race up a little bit. They got the race going. Fantastic race. Then you have NASCAR. NASCAR threw on a really great weekend, had a really good race. The feeder series to NASCAR, both the Trucks and O'Reilly series had really good races, competitive. And then you have F1. And, you know, whether you like it or not, in the U.S. markets, you have to compete with those series. And in the first year of your TV deal, you're on this new Apple platform. This can't be what Liberty Media wanted, because they're going to lose market share to NASCAR and IndyCar.
100%. 100%.
And as someone who watches all three series pretty equally, there was a gap, a big gap between IndyCar, NASCAR, in the F1 coverage. And it shouldn't be that way. F1 should be head and shoulders above both. They are supposed to be the pinnacle of motorsport. And for the second week in a row, IndyCar themselves took a shot at F1. And F1's just laying on the canvas, not being able to do anything back about it.
What did IndyCar do to take a shot?
Funny enough, because of how bad of a weekend he had, Mick Schumacher had made a comment about the track and being a little tough, and there was a comment later from the CEO of IndyCar being like, "Yeah, this ain't Monaco." And it wasn't Schumacher complaining about the track. He was talking about the speed. Like it was incredibly fast for a street course. And the guy was like, "Yep, this ain't Monaco. This is a fast street course." And I mean, it was super entertaining. It really was. It was really entertaining. It was a great race. And it's like, maybe sometimes more technology isn't better, because those cars don't even have power steering.
The IndyCars?
And if that, yeah, you don't have power steering in IndyCar. And if they can put on that good of a street race, why can't F1 find a way to put on good? And I really think it's just they tried to do too much. They tried to be something they're not. And there was a comment from the Formula E CEO who kind of made a similar thing of they tried to be a little bit too much Formula E, and it's backfired. And I wouldn't be mad if they would just come out and be like, "You know what? We missed the mark. We got a whole break in April that we're going to get together and we're going to figure out a way to fix this for our fans." But instead, they're acting like there's not a problem. They're deleting social media comments. They cut a huge segment out of Max's press conference where he talked about it being Mario Kart, and you had to find the quotes online because they weren't in the official press conference that they published.
They're acting like the U.S. government.
Yeah. They're trying to pretend like there's not a big problem while being in the back rooms talking with drivers and teams about how to fix the problem that's obviously there.
Unfortunately, the U.S. government isn't doing that same thing.
No.
But
true. But like, if F1 would just come out and be like, "Hey, we thought this was going to go a certain way. We've obviously missed the mark, but we have some time. We have these races that have been canceled. During this time, we're going to figure out a solution." I would shut the fuck up. If they just said that, I would shut up. Because, all right, everyone makes mistakes. You thought these were going to be something. They're not. But the fact that they keep gaslighting us into acting like this is going well. No, it's not. This is a disaster. This is the worst rule set I've seen since I started watching F1. This is horrible. This is atrocious. I don't want to wake up early to watch these races. The China race was at 3 a.m. for us. It took everything in me to wake up for that race. And I've watched every race but one since 2016, and it has me not wanting to get up to watch races. That's a massive thing.
And I typically will wake up to watch races. This weekend I couldn't. Had many fun obligations this weekend that were amazing. That didn't allow me to watch the race live. But even then, so I don't think I would have stayed up till 6 a.m. to start watching the race and finish watching the race. Like, I'm just not excited about F1 like I was.
The opening laps are fun, but
it's the first 5. It's the first 5. That's the first 10 minutes.
And half of it's only fun because of the disparity of the starts of the cars. If that wasn't a thing, even those laps would suck. But the fact that a couple cars shoot out that don't have the pace to be where they get off the start line, and a couple cars that have pace have issues with their start procedure, like the Red Bulls. Whatever's going on with their engine, it seems to be hit or miss whether their car gets off the line. We've seen it both races where one RB and one Red Bull have both struggled each race to get off the line fully. There's just something wrong with the way that their stuff is integrating, and it doesn't always release the correct way. But like, those are the reasons why you're getting entertaining races, is nobody's where they're supposed to be when it starts out. And both races, you've had people in the top 10 not start the race, so you have open spots on the grid that wouldn't normally be there.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Woo! Let's turn on this F1 race and watch 4 cars not even make it to the grid. Really exciting. Second race in a row where multiple cars haven't even started the race. And that's really fun. Love tuning in to watch the McLarens from the pit road.
We went from watching 20 cars on the grid to watching 18 start on the grid and 4 not even being able to start the race.
We added a whole new team and got less cars on track for the first 2 races.
Yep.
It's wild. The field spreads just wildly too much again. 8 cars on the lead lap.
The last car was
a safety car.
What was the last car on the grid? Was it like 80 something seconds off the lead?
Yeah, it would have been, I believe, one of the Racing Bulls, and 87 seconds off.
Yeah, it was Hajar.
So it was one of the Red Bulls. Okay. I knew it was someone in that camp, Racing Bull, Red Bull. I thought it was a Racing Bull, but yeah. Which funny, because the last car on the lead lap, the last race, was Max in 6th place. So the surviving Red Bull is on the edge of the lead lap each race. It's just...
Well, actually, no.
Outside of the Ferrari battle.
Maybe it's right. I don't know. Outside of the Ferrari battle.
There really wasn't that much to be excited about. There were a few midfield battles. But again, they were battery battles. Somebody passes, somebody repasses, somebody passes, somebody repasses, somebody passes, somebody repasses. Like, that's not racing. Sorry, it's just not.
It can be exciting in the moment, but I don't like watching a Formula 1 race and then feeling at the end be like, that kind of sucked. Like, it's exciting when you get to see people battle, for sure. But it doesn't feel great when it's just the same 2 fucking people, the same 2 teams fighting each other. Or the same 2 people from the same team fighting each other.
And like, don't get me wrong, it's cool to see fun point finishers and see what happens, but those things mean something when they're not artificial. Hulkenberg's podium last night meant so much because we knew he earned it. If that happened to someone this year, would it feel as special? I don't think so.
No. I mean, I am happy that Hammy got on the podium.
But it doesn't feel as special as it would have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I'm just loving F1 right now.
I feel like you've tried hard enough at this point.
My cat is apparently loving beating the shit out of something right now. My cat is going ham. She is just on it.
Yeah, I could hear that.
She found some fucking toy that I have and is just beating the shit out of it right now. And let me tell you, this is already more entertaining than the entire F1 race and more of a battle, apparently. My cat is losing to an inanimate object right now, and it's amazing.
Both my cats are sleeping, so. What?
Oh, her head. Hold on, my cat got her head stuck. Move. Dumbass cat. I love my cat, but she's as dumb as I am.
I'm not even gonna
It's a
edit
bad
that out.
mix.
I'm not even gonna edit that out. Like, I'm not. It's just perfect. Like
I have this table beside my sim rig that holds my keyboard, and she keeps getting her head stuck in between there trying to get to whatever this inanimate object is, and it's hilarious. Because then she just looks at me like, "Hey, help again."
Please, I'm dying.
So
For like
there's
the
something
10th
about when a
time.
cat looks at you like, I know I just did this, but I thought it would be different this time. Which, hey, feels like watching F1 races at the beginning of the year. My cat's great with metaphors.
Absolutely. We discussed pre-show about, and we talked about this a little bit last week, where like we can't just cover F1 for an hour every week anymore. It's just we will be way too negative. It won't be an enjoyable experience for either of us, nor will it be an enjoyable experience for the listeners. So what do we have to look forward to? Because I know this weekend was packed with racing between multiple different series. What do we have to look forward to in terms of not only racing, but maybe where the podcast goes?
Well, it depends on how broad you want to paint that. Because
Let's
first off,
let's paint it like your French lady.
non-existent. Okay. So, well, we have NLS coming up this weekend. Max's first race with his team in preparation for the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. Pretty excited about that. Get to see his full team. But, well, not full team because it'll just be the NLS. I don't know if they'll do all 4 drivers. But regardless, we'll get to see Max on track with his Mercedes factory team. I'm guessing that because the F1 races in April got canceled, and those are canceled, not postponed. Both Bahrain and Saudi have been canceled for the year. There won't be a replacement. So that pretty much leaves April wide open in the F1 calendar. There's going to be a qualifying race for the Nürburgring 24, which now Max will be able to compete in if he chooses, not just his other teammates, because he'll have that time open. So I imagine, and there's another NLS race during that time, so we could see Max do two NLS races and a qualifier when he was only supposed to do one NLS race. We have, I believe this week is when NASCAR goes to San Diego. Don't quote me on that just yet. Or I'm trying to remember. Or no, they go to Darlington. That's right. They do Darlington, Martinsville, Bristol. Why was I thinking San Diego was already? San Diego's not for a while. I don't know. My brain is all over the place today. Ooh, so we go to Darlington. Oh, that's going to be fun. I love Darlington. One of my favorite races of the year. We usually do the throwback paint schemes and everything, so that'll be cool. Plus, Bubba always runs well there. So
Your boy Bubba's doing well so
if you
far.
want to go
season.
non-racing, Crimson Desert comes out this week.
So we're getting to the nerdy side of things, the gaming.
Oh, I can't wait. I've been waiting for this game for months. I pre-ordered it. I'm excited. I will be non-existent to the universe other than racing sessions, living out my best fantasy life, as I tend to do, regardless, at this time with a controller.
It's a good thing because you usually do this and you always post something somewhere on social media like, hey, I'm going off the grid. If you feel like it's an emergency, you know where I live. If you don't know where I live, it's not an emergency. Good thing I know where you live. So
that is really my favorite thing to tell people. It's like, yeah, not I am very secretive about where I live. I don't really know why. I don't have a reason. I'm just a private person.
Yeah, it makes
So
sense. It makes sense.
very few people have been to my place. Very few people know where it is. So
I guess my
if
girlfriend
you
should
know,
be proud that she's been there because
yeah.
I know I'm one of the few, and I've been there a couple times. So
Yeah. Well, it's like one of those things that if you don't know where I live, you don't know anything well enough for it to be an emergency. It's not
exactly.
something I can't deal with on Monday.
Yeah,
Unless it's some school shit, and I already made sure I had all my school shit done before I turned off everything.
So let's get back on track a little bit ish. Track
I doubt
not necessarily decided, but what happened this weekend that was exciting in racing outside of F1?
The IndyCar and NASCAR races were good. NASCAR was good. I'd give that race a solid 8. The IndyCar, I'm going to give that one a 9.5. That was. I give them so much credit for throwing together that event that had to be a complicated thing to do. Like I've been to that area, and it's a spread out area, but I imagine logistically it was still complicated to figure out. And I give them a ton of credit for how well they pulled this off. It wasn't flawless, but it was about as close to it as you could get in the first year of throwing an event. I did have to listen to Jerry Jones attempt to hold conversation in the pre-show.
That would have literally made me walk off a wall.
I mean, bathroom breaks were invented for a reason, and I chose at that point to get some coffee and go to the bathroom. So, you know.
Jerry Jones can go fuck himself.
But I do give him credit for the event that they put on. And, you know, it was at his stadium. It involved a lot of him. He was involved in a lot of the process and getting it done. And I got to give him credit. Like, it really was a super well done job. And so much kudos to IndyCar for doing it.
Kudos for IndyCar, but
off.
Kudos to IndyCar.
Well, and the Penske group, because really the Penske group is IndyCar now. And I've given Penske a hard time in the past. I'm not the biggest fan of the Penske NASCAR team, and I'm definitely not a fan of the Penske Porsche team in endurance racing. So as a rival, I kind of give them shit every now and then, but I really have to give credit for what they've done with IndyCar and the way that they're really trying to revitalize IndyCar and make it a top series again.
I do appreciate that aspect. I can't bow down and say great job to Jerry Jones.
He's still
mainly
a tool,
because he's a billionaire, misogynistic, racist asshole that I can't support, and I'm going on record saying that. So I will not applaud his having anything to do with it. I will not applaud anything that he exists for.
Well, let's be real. Jerry was mostly the bank account.
I don't give a fuck.
I doubt he was involved in the plan.
Yeah, well, I don't give a fuck.
But my point being, even
with.
his praise to a point is muted just for the fact that he was mainly just the bank account behind it. I imagine it was the IndyCar staff that was handling the logistics. So I'll give more credit to Penske than I will him.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy and proud of IndyCar for making this happen.
I'm also glad NASCAR seems to have listened to their fans, because the racing is just better this year. The racing in NASCAR is just better. And, you know, I think we're finally starting to get this next gen car to show its worth and show what it can do. And the short tracks, we still have to see how it goes on short tracks with some of the changes they made. The mile and a half tracks have always been kind of good, but I don't know, it just feels like the start of this year, the races have been really good. Even the road course wasn't as bad as they normally are. Coda was decent. It was somewhat entertaining. A little bit surprising SVG didn't win, but it's also kind of good. Like, hey, Reddick finally beat SVG on pure pace. Somebody finally figured out how to beat the guy. That helps the series because now it feels like a challenge. And also, credit to SVG. He's kind of getting ovals down.
He really is.
He
really
he's
is.
doing well in points, and he had a little bit of tough times at Vegas, but he's getting it. You can tell he's starting to get it, and I think that's good for the sport to have a guy like him come in and do good outside of the road courses. And hey, maybe he makes the playoffs, and that would be awesome because the playoffs are a bit different this year, and it's going to be harder for him to make.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that Bubba, or not Bubba, but SVG is doing way better this season. 100%.
I love that Bubba's doing much better this
Yeah,
season.
that was
And
I got it confused because that was the next thing I was going to bring up is like your boy Bubba is doing fantastic
Yeah.
so far this season.
Bubba's doing the things that I have wanted him to do for so long, and that's just be more consistent. Most of the times you show up to the racetrack, you're not gonna have. It's just the way NASCAR is. When you show up to the racetrack, more times than not, you're not gonna have a winning car. So what do you do during the days when you don't have a winner? And I think that's what Bubba's doing really good this year, as opposed to other years. Is the races where he doesn't have a winning car, he's just getting the most points he possibly can out of it. And that's what he did at Vegas. At Vegas, you could tell he had a decent car. He had a top 10 car, but he did not have a car that was going to touch Hamlin, that was going to touch Larson. Like, he probably didn't even have a top 5 car, even though he qualified there. Just didn't look like it got tighter as the race went, and they couldn't get on top of it. No matter how much they were loosening it up, it felt like they were always playing catch up to how tight the car was getting. And he just got a solid finish and stayed in the points, got points in every stage, got back into second place in the points. And this year, with the change in how the playoffs work, this is incredibly important because it's not winning you're in anymore. You have to get in purely on points. And they've given more points to people who win to kind of counteract that. But still, you have to be much more consistent to get into the playoffs this year. And I think that's going to benefit Bubba more than some others as far as getting into the playoffs, because the years that he missed weren't because he wasn't in the top 16 in points. It was because people who got the win and you're in would bump him out because he'd be chilling in, 12th in points. But once you throw all those guys who were behind him in front, he would get pushed all the way back out. And this year that can't happen. So I think, and in general, 23-11, they're killing it. You have first and second in points for that team. Reddick started off the year with 3 wins. Didn't have so good of a week this week, though. He had a really bad week this week, but has enough points to get away with it.
Yeah. And Denny won, but he also is co-owner of 2311, so he benefits no matter if he wins or loses.
Yeah, if they're up there doing well, and now that moves Denny up to 4th, and honestly, with that was a moment. You want to talk about my favorite moment of the weekend? It would be Denny getting to hug his mom, who we didn't know if she was going to be alive, and getting to see, his wife, his kids, and his mom come to the start-finish line. That was a moment. That was an emotional moment because I didn't really know when we'd see his mom again after the fire and after her getting injured in the fire that took her husband. Like, that family's been through a lot. And, a couple times Denny said, like, I don't feel like wanting to race. I got to fix that. And he managed to by the time the year started and got his head on right. But it's good to see him get a win. It's good to see him get a good result. There's not many people in motorsports who deserve a good result the way Denny has. I mean, his off season and in the end of his season, he loses
His
on
dad.
a strategy call in the final race of the season to finally win a championship. And his dad was already going, and they thought this would be his last season he got to see anyway. So Denny misses a chance to win a championship in front of his dad. Immediately after the season ends, his parents' home burned down and kills his dad. And I mean, they were already preparing for the eventual death, but something so sudden like that, and in a way you didn't expect, and then almost took his mother as well. That's a horrible experience, especially after you've just had another child. You want to be celebrating a life coming into the world, and instead you're dealing with one and almost two leaving. So you have professional heartbreak and personal heartbreak, plus a lawsuit. All this going on at the same time. A lawsuit that was going to change the face of the sport, and did. There was some financial stuff that happened in that basically guaranteed the future of Front Row Motorsports in 2311. That they're now financially stable for the foreseeable future based on what they got out of the settlement in that lawsuit. And what all the teams got. Like, let's be clear, all the teams won in this lawsuit with 2311 in Front Row, because what they won concessions that then became a part of the charter, including permanent charters, which was the biggest thing. The teams now own their charters. NASCAR can't take that away. And that's a big deal. So to have all that happen, I wasn't surprised to see a little bit of emotion come out of him. He really tried his best to hold it back, but when his mom came out, it was impossible.
Yeah.
And it was just a great moment to see. It really, I'm glad that was the last racing I watched all weekend, because it ended it on a much better note than I had started it. And that made me feel great. And this is the excitement I wish I was talking about F1. This is what pisses me off so much. You just hear that whole segment and how excited I was about what happened in NASCAR. And how awesome the racing was and how much I enjoyed what I was watching. It's normally what we talk about F1. This is normally the opposite. We talk about NASCAR being the generic racing and F1 being this amazing thing. And this year it's flipped on its head. And the guy who has been the American who was a fan of this sport when nobody gave a shit here, who had to deal with people not even knowing what the hell the sport was. It irritates me that now NASCAR is more fun to watch than F1. It irritates my soul, even though I'm a fan of both.
I would say it irritates. It's not just irritating to you; it's slightly deliberating. Debilitating. There we go. That's the word.
To a point, and it's frustrating because NASCAR's gotten better because they listen. Some of it was they were forced to listen, but they also did take the fact that the fans weren't liking some of the stuff that was going on and addressed it. The playoffs. Everyone hated the playoffs. They fixed them. Imagine that. Imagine listening to your fans complain about something and you address it. And you address it by doing something they really want. And you know what NASCAR was really smart about? They made a committee for the playoffs and they involved the most vocal people against the format. And it was like, hey, the most vocal people who want this changed, let's have them come up with solutions. And they did. And the solution was much better. And this season is going to be much better because of it. And the champion will feel like a deserving champion. Because no shade to Kyle Larson, but he was not the champion last year. And the fact that he won it sucks a little bit. Because Denny Hamlin dominated that season and deserved to be the champion. And because of how one race played out, he lost. And I think that was everybody's last straw of like 2 of the 3 series, the guy who dominated the series all year didn't win the title. And I think that was a lot of fans' last straw of like, no, this has to change. And I'm so happy it did. F1, follow suit. There's a lot. I don't care what your media that you control say. The fact is, most of the fans aren't happy.
Well, the fact that they control the media says a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to delete comments from drivers when they're happy. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And it's just... It hurts to not be excited to watch. Like,
and it's expensive to watch. Let's be real. F1's not a cheap sport to watch.
It is, but also on the aspect of like a personal level, like I have somehow MacGyvered my girlfriend into getting into F1. Not sure how, can't explain it. Grateful that she likes F1 at this point. But I'm like, this is the worst season for you to be starting off with. Like, this is the absolute fucking worst thing. And it hurts me to be like, yeah, like, let's watch this race. But also, like, if you walk away halfway through, I'm not going to be upset because I'm falling asleep halfway through.
Right.
Like,
I normally don't yell at the TV about batteries, I swear.
Well, I don't usually want to punch my TV, but apparently I do now. Like, it's fucking atrocious. And
the only one I watch the races with is my cat, and she'll judge me no matter what I do, so it doesn't matter.
I'm at the point where I'm like, should I even include my girlfriend in watching the races just so she doesn't get bored and regret her decision to like F1? Because like, I won't give up on it entirely, but I'm not excited about it anymore. Like, to the point where I have a camping trip over the weekend of the Japan Grand Prix, and I'm not even mad about not watching the Japan Grand Prix.
Oh, that's usually one of my favorite races of the year, too, but I just have a feeling this one's going to suck.
I'm just not excited. And honestly, I'd rather go camping, no matter what, anyway. It doesn't matter.
Well, and I think that's the thing is... with F1, I get so excited that it's like, ooh, free practice 1, free practice 2. Like, I want all the practice sessions. I want as much F1 as I can possibly ingest.
Yep. This would be the season you skip when you're rewatching everything.
Yeah. And there's sessions where it's just like, it doesn't really matter. And that sucks to feel. I also love that, like, in the process of moving from NASCAR to F1, my face has gotten like 3 shades redder. And I'm just noticing, like, if we talked about F1 for 2 hours, I would be the shade of my shirt by the time we were done.
Just gotta get you some better lighting, that's all.
It's not the lighting, it's my face.
I feel like that's a good place to cut it, though. Like, there's not much else to say, to talk about.
One thing I did want to talk about before we end is why am I holding an Allen wrench? No idea.
For the visual, for the people that aren't watching on YouTube, he was literally just holding an Allen wrench in the frame of the camera. One thing I want to talk about with an Allen wrench in his hand.
I have like 4 of these on my desk. I'm not even joking. Oh, hold on. We have to have a moment here. So I have these.
It's show and tell. Don't judge him.
Plus, I have this whole thing that's a bunch of Allen wrenches.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. Blame the tism.
I was literally going to say, I was like, you got to get that tism out.
I mean, I'm sure they all came with things I have bought at some time, but don't ask me why. I have kept like every Allen wrench, and I have a whole drawer full of
Oh,
Allen
dude,
wrenches.
I keep every Allen wrench that something gives me, always. And they all tend to be the same size, so I have like 12 of the same size Allen wrench.
Oh my
god! Jeez.
Oh, I'm actually crying.
You might have to go shirtless just to balance the color out a little bit.
Oh, no. Nobody needs to see that. So for visual broadcast, my face may not look red until you see how white the rest of my body is. And I'm fluorescent, and then I have this red ass face right now. Oh.
It's just fun. You glow 2 colors. That's all.
I literally glow in the dark. It's ridiculous. You can see me in the dark, and I wish that was a joke, but I have a bedroom with blackout curtains and no lights, and I can still see in the dark because of my flesh. It's horrible. It's bad. It's bad. I'm an alien, I think.
So
this is what happens when you're agoraphobic and you only leave the house to go to work and you work at night.
There was something you wanted to say before we ended the show that wasn't including Allen wrenches.
Oh yes. The thing I don't know how I feel about, but part of me is excited about, and that's the WEC is launching their own standalone app that looks to be a little bit like F1 TV. I'm not excited to have another thing to pay for, but I was using HBO Max for it, and now I don't need that shit anymore, and that's all I watched on it anyway. So
it's a trade-off.
I do like that the European Le Mans stuff will be on there, and the Le Mans Cup will be on there, because it's really hard to find those. And if you're a racing nerd, you want to watch all the feeder series, and that'll be kind of cool to see some of the up and coming drivers and things like that. And those series can have some really entertaining races at times. European Le Mans does 4-hour races that are really interesting, and so I'm excited for that. That launches on the 18th of this month. No pricing or anything that I could find. Granted, I just saw the announcement before we started the podcast, so I haven't really got to dig into it. I will be doing that more leading up to Wednesday when that comes out. We'll be able to have more information about it next podcast, but I will definitely be able to free trial or to trial that and tell everyone what I think about it. I'm hoping they have old races on there, so I can quit watching old races on YouTube. That would be awesome. But I don't know for sure if they're going to have any old races on, or if it's just starting with this year's races.
I will say for the listeners, we record Monday nights. I edit and post everything before midnight on Monday night. So it's usually available by like 11 p.m. Eastern time or midnight Eastern time on Monday night. But it's usually most people watch Tuesday afterwards. So yeah, Wednesday the 18th. We're recording on the 16th. So
yeah, and I'll be excited for that. We did find out this week that they are going to do a prologue since the prologue and first race in Qatar got postponed, they're going to do the prologue at Imola. For those who don't know the prologue, it's kind of like the warm up in before the season starts. It's a little bit of a weird styling, so they don't necessarily call it testing the way that you normally would, but that'll be really exciting. The year will start in Imola, and that'll help fill up some of that empty April that we have with no F1. So, yeah, for other racing series, I'm really excited for what's going on in other series, and I'm really pumped to see what the new Toyota hypercar looks like. Its redesign is pretty radically different. You normally don't see designs change that much in the same rule set, so it's really exciting to see what that car is going to be like. And with such a good driving team, I'm really excited to see how that goes for that team.
I will say that our listeners shouldn't be surprised if the show in its current form changes a bit as the year progresses.
Yeah, in reality, we're not going to talk purely F1 anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to keep our F1 talk because that's still our thing. That's still our favorite thing. But every episode, we're now going to include other stuff because F1's not filling the plate anymore. And we want to fill the plate and talk about things that we enjoy, not just things that we dislike.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we rebrand either.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's something we'll talk about during April. During the F1 break in April, me and Tyler are going to sit down and have some business conversations and kind of decide what's happening going forward. Obviously, F1 coverage will always exist, but I expect changes. We don't know exactly what yet, but expect changes.
Yeah, and it's not because we're not excited about F1. We love F1. It's
a little bit
because,
at least for mine.
It's not because we don't love F1. It's because we're not excited about F1. And there are many other series that we cover that we also are very passionate about. And so, yeah, there might, quote unquote, might put the asterisks on each side of it. Might be some changes going forward. But it's still going to be the same two dudes. It's still going to be very unhinged, as always.
Probably more, if anything.
I don't know. The unhinged branding was supposed to make us more unhinged.
I feel like we're just going to keep getting more and more unhinged. The more of our pre-show that makes it into the broadcast, probably the better, because our pre-shows are hilarious.
Our pre-shows are better than the actual episodes.
Probably a lot more of our pre-show content.
Yeah.
I have a feeling a lot more of our pre-show content and conversations will become podcast content, because over the last 3 podcasts, something that gets said every time is like, man, we should have these conversations on air.
Yes. Well, it's been more than that, but yeah.
So we're probably going to do more of that. Well, the last 3 especially have really stuck out to me, where there were moments in each of our pre-shows that was like, oh, man, this would have made amazing content. Damn it. Why didn't we have the record button on while this was going on? So you're going to get a lot more rambling, but fun rambling.
Yeah. I think it's just going to be more like personal. Like, not personal and like we talk about personal details of things, but just like we're just going to have conversations like friends, because we are friends. We have been for over a decade. And
yeah, exactly.
It's just gonna be a conversation between us, and if people like to listen to it, cool. If you don't, then you can fuck off.
Exactly. The exact mentality. Sounds like a perfect place to end it, honestly. That is the perfect place to end this.
It is. It is. So as always,
So
I've been
this
Tyler.
has been... I think I'm Josh still.
Or are you the person that's angry at the beginning of the episode?
Yes.
Okay, so this has been F1 Unhinged. I've been Tyler. He's been Josh. That was a botched ending. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in.